Alrighty, so here is an image that I took with my drone, and I shoot with a DJI Mavic 2 Pro drone. And this was a photograph I took this fall of the town that I live in. I live in New England, and we have some pretty phenomenal architecture from the colonial days. And this is an image I took over the town, and clearly it's nice, but it could use a lot more. The colors are certainly there, but they're sort of muted because of the fact that it's shot directly into the sun. And shooting directly into the sun will sometimes wash out these colors, and obviously I'm underexposed in the foreground. But I do like to shoot into the sun quite frequently because I think it adds a lot of texture and dynamic range to the image. So what I typically will do is process in a couple different programs, and one program I use a lot would be Aurora HDR, and oftentimes I'll use it with just one image and not a bracketing of 3 images, because I think that it's a great processing engine to bring out some colors, and then I can obviously retouch it and do some more in Lightroom or Photoshop or some other programs. But here's a tutorial for how I typically would approach a landscape image like this to give it a little bit more dynamic range and color, and something that I'd be more inclined to share with others. So we'll start off with the image here, and I'll look to see what needs to be done first. And right now I'm happy with this section right here because, well, the sun's hitting it and it looks nice. Whoop, coming in across the church. And the way I shot this and framed this was shooting into the sun, allowing it to sort of come directly over the church and give it sort of that almost, angelic or some sort of, unique sort of look from the sun coming down onto the church and drawing your eye into that direction. So there's a couple things we can do, and there's a fine line between, I guess, faking it and getting it more realistic. For this, I'll probably exaggerate the sun a little bit. So what I'll typically do is go into my exposure brush and bring up the exposure to about there, and maybe at 1.25 to 1.5, somewhere around there, and I'll just sort of follow the pattern of the actual ray like that, and that just brings it out a little bit more. And I'll probably do a little bit this way, a little bit this way, and then maybe across, and try to mimic what the sun actually is doing, but giving it a little bit more room to grow and make it look a little bit more realistic, at least a little bit more unique. Alright, so I like that so far. The church itself is somewhat dark in the foreground, where you can just sort of brighten it just a little bit, not too much, because you want to make it look somewhat realistic. So the first step would be to enhance the rays. The other thing we can do is create another brush adjustment and bring it down and maybe go a little bit dark or underexposed a little bit in the sky to bring back some of that detail that was there, that the sun itself is washing out. And that looks sort of nice, actually, because you've got the sky with the sun breaking through, and then it's kind of coming right down over the church. Okay, at this point what I'll probably do is bring it into Aurora HDR, which I love. And oftentimes I'll use an underexposed image by 1, a properly exposed image, and then an overexposed image by 1. But in this particular case, I'm just going to use the one underexposed image because I want to sort of keep this looking both realistic but also somewhat more intense. So hit the Create HDR, and this program will do so many things which just blows me away. I like the last line, final touches to make it awesome. And one of my favorite presets to begin with would be Sleepy Drama. And if you click on this, it really makes it pop. Look at that. So by making the adjustments initially in Lightroom, it will enhance the adjustments that Aurora HDR will do. So I've already enhanced some of this, some of these rays, and when it processes it through its engine, it's going to enhance a little bit more. And that makes it really pop. Now we can see all these colors, and then the rays are really brought out to the church. And that's what I'll start by applying it here, and that does a lot of the heavy lifting for me anyway. But I like the nice thing about the Aurora HDR is it keeps things looking more realistic. It doesn't have that bloated fake HDR feel, in my opinion. So here is the scene that has been created both by myself and the engine for Aurora HDR. And what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll even amplify a little bit more. Oops, I wanted the other direction. We'll bring up the exposure a little bit more, and then kind of come back just to sort of show subtly some light across the town. So when you look at this picture, you can see that you still have that ray, but you also can bring back some exposure for the rest of the town. And then you can sort of amplify it there. Okay, so I like that. And I'm still, if I look at the smaller thumbnail on the left, I still see a little bit of darkness here. I'll kind of do a little bit of a enhancement there. Good. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll bring the clarity brush down real low here, and I'll go over the area around the sun to kind of make it blend a little nicer so it doesn't have that harsh sort of look. The nice thing with these cameras, I love the camera in the DJI Mavic, is it's got this great color science, and also with the bits it allows for this really nice rendering of colors and as they blend into another and keeping the noise down. It's really nice. So there the sky looks a little less harsh, and then it blends nicely into the colors of fall. And it takes an image that really was there but needed to be brought out properly. So the before image was that, and it's okay. It's got something there, it's got potential. But then with a few certain adjustments, you can make it look something like that. And really nothing has changed other than bringing out the best parts of the image. And with these sensors, they'll capture everything that's already there. And our job in processing is simply to maximize what's already there. The colors were there, this ray was there, the sun was there, everything is here, and all the information in the shadows still exists. It's all there to be seen and shown, but if you don't know how to bring it out in processing, then you won't really be able to see the full potential of the image. So that's what I typically will do. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And if you have any ideas, I will certainly do them in future videos. But we could go through this and we could clean up some of the noise. We could fix some down here. We could do a lot of things here to make it even better. But I'm pretty happy with the way this looks, and I hope you enjoyed this. And please subscribe, please like, and I'd love for you to make a comment. Thanks.